This conference will now be recorded.
I call the August 26, 2020 Area Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for Tippecanoe County to order. First item is the roll call to establish the members present.
All right, when I call your name, please signify that you're here. Steve Clevenger.
Present.
Gary Schroeder.
Here.
Ed Butts.
Here.
Tom Andrew.
Here.
Frank Donaldson.
Here.
Jen Decker.
Here.
Carl Griffin. And I would note that Carl has emailed us. He's waiting on the link to the meeting. I tried to email that to him, so hopefully he will be here shortly, but we do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. And I would like to remind everyone to please mute yourselves when you are not wanting to speak or vote. That we can eliminate background noise. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes from the July 22nd, 2020 BZA public hearing as submitted. A second.
A second.
Motion and a second. Any comments or corrections? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Minutes are approved as submitted. New business, Ryan.
All right, as to the agenda tonight, BZA 2038, Bill J. Phillips has been withdrawn by the petitioner. BZA 2041, Murtaugh Law LLC, variance request number 2 has been withdrawn by petitioner, but variance request number 1 is moving forward. And BZA 2043, Reasons LLC, is being continued to the September 23rd BZA hearing. And then BZA 2042, Zern Vess, is also ready to be heard. So we'll have 2 cases tonight.
Hey, thank you. I will go ahead and have the public hearing motion, please.
I move that there be incorporated into the public hearing portion of each application to be heard this evening and to become part of the evidence at such hearing, the Unified Zoning Ordinance, the Unified Subdivision Ordinance, the Comprehensive Plan, the bylaws of the Area Board of Zoning Appeals, the application and all documents filed therewith, the staff report and recommendations on the application to be heard this evening, and responses from the Checkpoint Agency.
I second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. And it looks like Carl has joined us as well. I'll go ahead and take the continuance, please.
I move that BZA 2043 Reasons LLC be continued to the September 23rd, 2020 BZA meeting.
I have a
second
second.
that. Second that.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion is carried. And if you're here to for BZA 2043 Reasons LLC, that will be heard next month on September 23rd. Also, if you are here for the BZA 2038 Bill J. Phillips, that has been withdrawn and will not be considered. I would like to briefly describe our procedures for this evening. Each case will be heard following a motion and a second from the board. We'll ask the staff to report on its findings. Following the staff report, we'll ask the petitioner to present his or her case, after which anyone wishing to support the petitioner's request for a variance or special exception will be asked to come forward. After hearing from the petitioner and those speaking on his or her behalf, we will ask those speaking against the petition to present their arguments. The petitioner will then be allowed to rebut arguments raised by those in opposition to his or her petition. Following the rebuttal, the board may wish to ask questions of the petitioner, supporters, and opponents of the petition or of the staff. The staff will have the opportunity at this time to make any necessary clarifying comments. We will then vote by use of the prescribed ballot. 4 votes are necessary to make any decision. In the absence of 4 votes for or against, the petition is automatically continued to the next meeting. Please observe the following guidelines for sake of time and fairness to all. State your name and address for the record before you speak. Limit your remarks to 5 minutes or less. Do not repeat arguments that are brought up by others. Remember that all visual aids used to support your arguments will remain the property of the board. Cell phones must be turned off while the meeting is in session. Please step out of the room before using, or mute yourself before using your cell phone. And I would like to ask Ryan if there is anyone in the, if there's anybody in the room there.
Presently, no.
Presently, no. Okay. So we'll be taking comments on both Facebook and YouTube for those that are following on those social media platforms. With that in mind, we will hear our first case.
Would you like that continuance for 2043?
You just did it.
I did that. Okay, thank you. Okay, first case. I move to hear and vote on BZA 2041 Murtaugh Law LLC. Petitioners requesting the following variance for a proposed RV self-storage warehouse business on a half-acre tract of GB zoned land. Number 1, to allow a 1-foot setback from Old State Road 25 North instead of the required 60-foot. UZO 2-17-7 on property located at 10 Eretz Lane, Fairfield 11 Southwest, 23-4, continued from the July BZA meeting because notices were not sent out in time.
I second.
A motion and a second, and we'll hear from staff, please.
Okay. All right, well, as you can see on the zoning map, we have a site that zone GB. This tract was rezoned earlier this year by the county commissioners from R1. As you can see, we've got a mix of commercial, industrial, and light residential zoning, some highway business as well. So we have a bit of a mix of uses here, some floodplain off to the west at this kind of important junction of the kind of the terminus of the Hoosier Heartland's western end. Go on to the next slide. The site is currently unimproved and was once part of the kind of the Eretz Airport property, the larger property that was owned by that entity. The petitioner is looking to expand a self-storage warehouse type facility on this property. It would be an expansion of an existing business. The leasing office for the business currently is located in the building just to the south of this site. A petitioner is proposing 8 to 12 storage units could be handled in this building, and the parking requirements is 3 spaces per 200 storage units. So the parking will have to be worked out either during the site plan stage when either on-site available or an adjacent parking agreement worked out with the administrative officer. But there'll be some options they can pick from to make sure that required parking is put in place. As you can see to the, it's an unusually shaped lot, which goes into our decision of recommendation for this case. You can see the state right-of-way is taking a big chunk of this larger tract that's not being utilized as a roadway. This was all done during the Hoosier Heartland construction, and the land that was taken by the state for that purpose. And this is sort of a remnant that has not been that is owned by the state, that hasn't been returned to the county or in any way. It's still public right of way, but that does encumber this property with a severe setback issue. So in our staff comments, we list 3 points that are worth noting here. and I'll get to those in a second. You can see here on the site, coming from various angles. It's always difficult to get a feel for a site of this size and disposition at street level, but that's the site. I believe those are the only photographs, correct? Okay. Are there any others? Okay, yeah, you can leave it on the site plan. So you can see they have an existing septic field on the northern part of the property, and they're fitting the building where there's the most room on this triangle. But the 60-foot setback from Old State Road 25 is one of the major offenders here. That takes a huge portion of the triangular shaped property, making development very difficult. The location of the existing septic system further limits where improvements could be located. And the wide right-of-way in this location, 73 feet between the property line and the edge of the shoulder of the current roadway, plus the elevation change that is going on in this area that you couldn't quite capture from the photographs, but it's present. In our opinion, it provides more than enough separation from the right-of-way, and so this extreme setback is excessive in our opinion. So moving on to the tests, staff's opinion that the granting the variance will not be injurious to the public health, safety, and general welfare. There's plenty of room from the edge of pavement for this building to approach its property line without causing any sort of problems there. Use and value will not be affected in an adverse manner. Adjacent property is owned by the owner, by the petitioner, and because of this large right-of-way and the elevation shift, the highway is not going to be impacted by this. The terms of the zoning ordinance are being applied to a situation that is not common to other properties. This is a fairly unique situation given the topography and the extreme right-of-way issues here, not just the setbacks, but the existing road right-of-way that is not being utilized for road construction, nor will be. Strict applications of the zoning ordinance will result in an unusual or unnecessary hardship. The hardship in this case is the 60-foot setback on the site does not provide a reasonable building area, which is the reason for that 60-foot setback is to make sure there's sufficient space from a primary arterial. In this case, there is plenty, and this is more than is needed. So questions 5A and B only need to be answered if a hardship is found. And it's our opinion that the hardship involved is not self-imposed or solely based on perceived reduction or restriction on economic gain. The setback on this lot renders it nearly undevelopable. And the variance sought does provide only the minimum relief needed to alleviate the hardship. With the extra wide right-of-way that is not being improved, the slope of the hillside and the very unusual shape of the lot, this is a unique situation, and staff's opinion does qualify for that variance relief. So we are recommending approval. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ryan. Petitioner, his or her representative. And would you like to make a presentation, and do you have anything to share?
Yes, thank you. Reed Murtaugh Law LLC on behalf of the petitioner, Eric's LLC. I think Ryan did a very good job of outlining this one. I'm going to try to share my screen with you to go through a few more photos if I can.
Are we prepared to share those?
Oh,
Or, I mean, you said a few more photos.
I just have photos on my screen. I hadn't sent them to staff.
Oh, okay.
So if you can make me the presenter, I can share them.
We are trying to accomplish that. Stand by.
Okay.
Okay, you should have the floor, sir.
Okay. So these first two photos show the elevation that Ryan mentioned a little better from State Road 25 to the property. And then the second two photos show the distance that's currently between State Road 25 and the property line. And then really Ryan kind of outlined all of the ballot items for you, 2 and 3. Again, there's that significant elevation change. There's adequate distance from Old State Road 25, even if this reduction in the variance distance is allowed, and there's no effect on any adjacent property owners. On ballot item number 4, there's an additional restriction on what can be built on the site due to the septic field. There is a finger system for the field that we have to further reduce the ability to build on that, and then that just unusual triangle shape of the site. And then ballot item number 5, as Ryan mentioned, 82% of the tract would be unusable if the 60-foot setback was imposed. That's all that I have. But just ask for approval as staff recommended. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll go ahead and ask if there's anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this petition or opposed to the petition. And at this time also, if there's anyone watching via social media, if you would like to comment, please go ahead and make comments. In the meanwhile, I'll go ahead and ask if there's any comments or questions from the board. If you could give us that minute, Ryan.
Okay, will do. And we have no public comment on this item.
Okay, thank you. Having no public comment, any last comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, we have a ballot. And please remember to keep your Google document open, your browser window open until Zach has approved your ballot. That way you don't have to refill it out.
Hey, Tom, can you look at item number 2 and give me some reasons on that? Thank you, sir. All good.
I take it we're still waiting on a ballot?
I just received the last one. Give me 1 second to check.
No
Make
problem.
sure we got it.
Wanted to make sure we weren't waiting for somebody that we thought, but who thought sent it, but it never arrived.
All right, we have 7 votes in favor of granting BZA 2041, but we still need to confirm that vote via roll call voice vote. So when I call your name, please signify your vote with approve or deny. Steve Clevenger,
Approve.
Gary Schroeder,
Approve.
Carl Griffin,
Approve.
Ed Butts,
Approve.
Tom Andrew,
Approve.
Frank Donaldson,
Approve.
Jen Decker,
Approve.
and BZA 2041 is
Thank you. That variance has been approved. We'll hear the next case, please.
I move to hear and vote on BZA 2042 Zern Vest. Petitioners requesting a variance to allow a fascia sign of 63.2 square feet in an integrated center instead of the maximum allowed 40 square feet for a Domino's Pizza on a GB zoned lot. The property is located in Paramount Lakeshore subdivision, more specifically at 3504 Paramount Drive, Wabash 2 Northeast, 23-4, UZO 4-8-7.
We have a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. And we'll hear the case, please, from Roberta.
Good evening, everyone. As you can see on your screen, the property is Zone GB. A lot of properties along Sagamore Parkway are zoned commercially, but you see some pockets of residential, high-density residential development as well. The property was rezoned in 2002 from NB to GB, and it has remained GB since then. Let's see here. The land south across Sagamore Parkway West is zoned R3 with GB to the southwest. In terms of land use in close to this request, there is a Old National Bank to the east across Paramount Drive. There is apartment to the west, and there are some proposals of GB development to the north, which hasn't come to fruition yet. There is two more apartment complex further north off of Copy McClure Ditch as well. So there's, as you can see, there's some residential development around this commercial strip. The site is it's a new development. So the site currently has a new structure under construction. It is the new building will have 3 tenant spaces total, which makes this an integrated center. A building permit has already been issued for this structure. And this request is for Domino's Pizza, which will be one of the tenants in this integrated center, and they will be occupying about 1,800 square feet of space. So based on the square footage, because this is an integrated center, the signage for integrated center is calculated for both the building signage and the freestanding sign. So for this particular tenant, there are allowed only 40 square footage of fascia sign, whereas they can have 100 square feet of freestanding sign with the maximum height of 24 feet. So the sign package they submitted with the request, China, if you could go to next slide, please. Yes, that one. I'll have you go back to the image in a little bit. So the freestanding sign meets the ordinance requirement, and if you can see the layout, you see there are 3 tenants. The one to the right will be Domino's Pizza, and they have proposed the freestanding sign at the corner of Paramount and Sagamore. If you can go back one more slide for me, China, that'd be great. So that is the new building being constructed. It's at a highly visible location. As you can see, it's one of the prime location for commercial use. Let's see here. So regarding ballot items, Area Plan Commission on August 19, 2020 determined that the variance requested is not a use variance, and it's staff's opinion that granting this variance will not be injurious to public health, safety, and general welfare of the community because increased fascia sign oriented towards Paramount Drive will have no adverse effect on the traveling public. China, could you go 2 more slides forward? Thank you. So that's the fascia sign that they have requested. The variance is only for the fascia sign. Use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance request will be affected in a substantially adverse manner. Petitioner's proposal is larger than permitted and would put neighboring businesses who have signage conforming with ordinance requirement at a disadvantage. Allowing additional signage would encourage these and other businesses in the area to request variances for larger than necessary signs. The term of the zoning ordinance are being applied to a situation is common to other properties in the same zoning district. There is nothing unusual regarding this lot's shape, size, and topography. Strict application of the terms of zoning ordinance will not result in unusual or unnecessary hardship as defined in the zoning ordinance because it is only petitioner's desire to have more signage than allowed that is creating a hardship. So when we do test 5A and 5B, because there is no hardship involved, this request solely is based on economic gain. The variance does not provide only minimum relief needed to alleviate hardship. There's no minimum relief because staff can find no ordinance-defined hardship in this request. Well, to synthesize that, while granting this variance will not be injurious to public health, safety, and general welfare, petitioners' desire to have more signage than allowed on a highly visible new development is considered, it cannot be considered ordinance-defined hardship. So staff is recommending denial for this request.
Thank you, Rabita.
I'll be happy to answer any question you may have.
Okay, thank you. Petitioner, his or her representative, do you have a presentation that you would like to make, and do you have anything to share?
Yeah, thanks for the time. We do feel like there are some hardships that are developed just on the way the property was laid out and us trying to develop. So just so everybody's clear that the franchisee actually is building the whole shopping center and lays the property in so that it's facing away from the main road. And even after talking to Domino's, who we have another
location in Tippecanoe County that has the original sign package, which is 40 square feet on both sides and a 35-foot pole. We were managed to kind of shrink everything down except for the one location that doesn't have any signage that would face the main street that he acquired to be on. So we're just trying to make sure that he has visibility both from the east and west as people come down Sagamore. So we thought asking for the minimal signage that we could get on that side, which was just another additional 23 square feet, would alleviate that so that he can be visible as his clients come, because the business model directs that people order pizzas, and in the new Domino's business model, there's a pickup window and then there's car side pickup. So that's part of the stuff is people, it's a little different situation as far as they set themselves up to come to the location. So they'll be looking for the location to get their product in a timely manner. We've managed to size everything down to fit in there, but we feel that we're still at a disadvantage with the location of the building, the main drive being over off of a secondary street. Does that answer?
We may
And
have
sir,
some
could you please state your name and address too before we?
Oh, sorry. My name is Zern Vess. My address is 334 East Chestnut Street, Springfield, Missouri.
Thank you. We may have some questions for you in a minute.
Okay.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor or against? And if you're watching on social media, please go ahead and start your comments. Any comments or questions from the board?
Question. Did you say that you were not allowed to have the sign on the street like we're looking at in the slide? Or is that Domino, the dice, you do have dice out there?
Not yet.
We don't have the signage there. That's the proposed pole sign. And we have to share that with the other 3 tenants that we're putting in location with us. So we're not adding any real tenant panel for us. We were just putting the Domino out front to keep it under the 100 square foot allowed. Because that 100 square foot has to be divided between really 4 tenants, the plaza itself, and then the 3 tenants.
Is the middle section, is that a changeable copy sign, or is that just another spot for another tenant?
That's a changeable copy sign for the plaza.
So, and we're talking about the fascia signs, nothing to do with the pole sign, but you're showing the pole sign as part of the sign package. I just wanted to make that clear. And it seems like that the pole sign, the idea behind an integrated center sign is to get you to the right location, and then the fascia signs on the building are to get you the right location in the building. And having that out, you'll be already on that drive. You'll be able to recognize the Domino from the sign to be able to get there. But then once you've made that turn, you'll be able to see the Dominoes on the front. So I'm not sure what the Dominoes on the side of the building actually does. Your other 2 tenants seem to have a lot less signage on the fascia sign, or I mean on the integrated center sign, but also don't have the advantage of having a second side either.
Well, so like I said, taking it down and try to give them as much square footage as they can, and they'll have part of the slides that'll be moving through the signs. We took the word Domino's off of it and just used the tile to kind of mess with our minimum, and then hoping to get like I said, the package has always got signage on both sides of the building. Is the way we've always put them up. Is the way the franchise requires them to be. If we would have built an independent building, we would have had the square footage, but we built the tenant integrated center instead.
But you've got the freestanding sign out front. That's bigger than the 40 square feet, I think, that are standard for the. Any other questions from the board?
Can you clarify if, and forgive me for forgetting this, probably a Zach or a Steve question. The variance is going to be specific to Domino's and their tenancy. A future tenant should, for some reason, they vacate this space, would need to go in for their own signage application, correct? They would not automatically be allowed to put something up on either side?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Zach, but the variance goes with the
Yeah,
site plan and
the variance is going to go with the site plan unless it's going to be, I mean, there are situations, I guess, where it could have potentially be abandoned, cease to exist, and then we got to start over. And that's one where potentially, I guess, Ryan and I would have to look at the individual circumstances. But generally, the variance is going to run. So.
It should run with the life of the property unless it's abandoned or replaced with another variance or another ordinance.
So I have a question, Steve. Gary here. Just to make sure I understand this, and maybe you already mentioned this, but the allowable 40 square feet, is that for two 20-foot signs, one on the front and one on the side?
I can answer that, Gary, if you'd like. So they are allowed total of 40. They can have 3 different location, divide that 40 and have 3 or 4 different location if they want. So if they would have redesigned the proposed signage, they could have still had 2 signage, but smaller in size. Does that answer your question?
Well, maybe so. I was just looking at the staff report, and it looks like one of the signs is on the side of the building, and maybe that's not part of the request.
It is.
And that is Gary, you have the standard it's approximately 40 feet on the front of the building, which is what is allowed. So what they're really asking for is for that extra 23 feet on the side of the building. And that gives you your 60 some square feet instead of the 40 square feet.
Okay. So if I understood you,
they could divide that 40 square feet and put 20 on the front and 20 on the side.
okay, I got you. That's what I was thinking. So they're allowed, they use the 40 on the front, so they're just, you could argue that they're just trying to get another a sign on the side of the building since it faces the road.
Correct.
So that's it. Got it. Okay, thank you.
Our overall objective is to have the 3 tenant signs be similar in size and unison and a good look, and everybody's fair. And then for us, for everybody who's facing Sagamont, that signing would be consistent too, even though we're going to go ahead and go for less than if the building was facing Sagamont, we would have had 40 facing the main street. But we feel like we can get away with the smaller and still have that presence to be fair and competitive. And there's other buildings that have signage on multiple sides going up and down the road, so we felt we were within reason.
Thank you. Any other comments? And Ryan, can you go ahead and just start a minute, even though I asked for it earlier, we'll go ahead and make sure we get comments from anybody on Facebook or YouTube.
Sure, stand by.
And while we're waiting for that, any comments or questions from the board?
Okay, we have no comments off of Facebook. YouTube did just drop out, so I can't verify if presently if there are any comments on that platform, but nothing on Facebook.
Okay. Thank you. Hearing no other comments, we'll go ahead and fill out the ballot.
Okay, all the ballots are in and they are all complete. There are 5 votes against, 2 votes in favor. We still do need to confirm everyone's vote. So when I please call your vote, signify with approve or deny. Steve Clevenger,
Deny.
Gary Schroeder,
Approve.
Carl Griffin,
Deny.
Ed Butts,
Deny.
Tom Andrew,
Deny.
Frank Donaldson,
Aye.
Jen Decker.
Approve.
That variance is denied.
Okay. Variance has been denied. Unless any member has an objection, the chair will order the findings of each member casting a vote for the majority decision of the board to be the collective findings of the board in support of the decision of the board. Hearing none, it is so ordered. Administrative matters.
We have none.
Okay, thank you. And I will go ahead and take the last motion, and
I move to adjourn.
we are
Second.
adjourned. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next
Everybody.
month.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good
All right.
night.
Well
Yep,
done. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ryan and China
Jen,
as well.
nice to see your baby.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Okay, see y'all. Thank you.
Good night.